Okay, AB5, that's the codified definition of independent contractor. So we're going to jump into this. Now, everybody remember that back in 2018, in April, the California Supreme Court handed down a ruling and said, you must have, as an independent contractor, is defined by the ABC test, which I have here, right there. So they presume that workers are employees. The worker has to be free from control and direction and be on contract and in fact, and, so that's just one part of it, and the worker performs work that's outside the usual business of the business that they're supporting, the hiring entity's business. Okay?
Can you elaborate that a little bit more? The little B?
Pardon me?
Can you elaborate that?
I will. Just let me finish this one thing and then I'll go back. And the worker is customarily engaged in the services that they are doing for the hiring entity. So what that means, so here's what happened. There were some lawmakers in Sacramento that said, you know what, let's just take all of that and make it a law. So we're not going to just have it be very nebulous, and that's what the California Supreme Court said. We're going to make a law. So they made AB 5, which was signed into law and goes into effect January 1st. Now, I'm just going to say, yes, the law went into effect January 1st, but it had already been in effect for a long time. This is not, this is not new. And in fact, when the Supreme Court handed down that ruling back in April 2018, they said it's retroactive. And I was like confused. Why is that retroactive? And then, let's see here, we have the Borrello factor. This is another lawsuit that was done, I don't know, 1997. And if you look at these, so all of these, I'm sorry, I apologize because it's such small print and very dense. But on here, it says, number 2, whether or not the work is a part of the regular business of the hiring entity. That is the sticking point of so many businesses, but that's been in effect since 1997. This is not new. So what that means is, I'll give you, for example, if you have a software, say you have a diner here in Santa Clara, and you have people that are working for you behind the counter, in the kitchen, etc., and you need a plumber to come in to take care of some plumbing issues on site. That plumber, because they do plumbing, which is not a part of what the business does, right? The diner is in the business of providing food for their customers. The plumber does plumbing, and he can be an he or she could be an independent contractor. Okay? So, but if you have a software company and you want to have your software team build an app or any kind of software platform or whatever it might be, it is not compliant for them to be independent contractors. They must be employees. Doesn't matter where they're located. It doesn't matter how long they're going to be working for the company. None of that, that is all beside the point. Yes?
But I was under the understanding an independent contractor, if they offer their services to other companies, then they wouldn't be considered an employee. You've got you've got an app that you're trying to work on. You bring somebody in to help you that's also a software engineer. But he's got his own company and he offers
does that
to other people, then he's not.
Well, he's a consultant. So a consultant is not the same thing as somebody sitting down there writing code and getting the day-to-day stuff done. That's a different thing. And so here's
on the books you would list it as consultant or professional fees, then it's okay to call them an independent contractor.
Yes, if they're a consultant, but keep in mind that there's also, they have, now that we have AB 5 codified, or the law codified in AB 5, they are giving exemptions. And so I will go over a short list of exemptions to what it applies to. Like, for example, real estate agents are exempt from, because they're considered their own business. They're not, so where do I have that?
Even though they might be working for Century 21.
Yes.
Still independent.
So insurance agents, analysts, physicians, surgeons, dentists, all of this list can be, but it still has to, Borello still applies to this list. So even though they might be, say, an attorney, maybe they're an attorney, they're exempted, however, Borello still applies. So if they're an attorney and they're working at a law firm, and they're working with the law firm's clients and delivering services to their clients, that's how you know. If they're they're doing something that's delivering services right to their customer, then that is an employee by Borello.
Would they, if that lawyer though presents the company with an invoice, would that?
No,
No.
that has no bearing on it at all, none. Yes, Joe?
So Carolyn, I see the most confusion like personal trainers, because that's where the gray area really comes in from what I've seen on this. So I don't want to chat about that.
Yeah, here's what my suggestion is. Stand by, because there are people suing the state over this, and we're expecting this to evolve. So because it's a law, and I lost my train of thought there for a second. Because it's a law, and attorneys are in Sacramento, they're going to be challenging this law. So all I can say is stand by. But I can say that Borello's been in effect, as I said, since 1997. So this has been around for a long time. You know, coming up on, you know, I don't know how many years that is, 23 years, something like that? Yes.
I was wondering if it matters whether or not the employee or independent contractor has their own corporation setup. So for example, let's say you're a dentist, right?
Mm-hmm.
You own a dentist office. You bring in a dentist to come work for you 1 day a week, right? So they would be a W-2 employee because even though only working 1 day a week, they're doing work for your patient.
Yes.
But let's say the dentist has a corporation.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yes.
So by that same, what he just said, I'm a bookkeeper, and part of my expanding my business is I'm swamped, I need help. So I bring in a friend who's also a bookkeeper. As long as she doesn't have anything to do with my clients, I could 1099 her, but the moment she starts working with some of my clients,
Well, what that means, if she's delivering services that you deliver to your client, then,
she would be delivering them to me.
okay, but,
Like, she works on my clients for me,
okay, and that work is going to go to your clients, right?
yes.
Then that would be an employee.
So by default, it goes to me, to my client.
Yes,
When in doubt, employee.
yes,
But
yes,
then you also have to have workers' comp and all that other
yes.
stuff.
So I'm a mobile notary, and I get my assignments from a signing company.
Mhm.
So they have their escrow and lenders. They need me to sign it. It comes to me, and then I go out to the signer. What's going on there?
I would say that's probably is going to fall in the exemption, because it's a specialty. You have a license that you have to have. They're not telling you how to do it. They're just telling you what.
Who, basically?
Yeah. Well, who? Yeah. So you're not being managed
Not at all.
at all, right? So that would be, and they don't do notary, right? Your client.
Signing service.
Yeah, they don't. So there you go. That's a good example of a bona fide independent contractor. Yes.
Accountants, or I thought it was CPAs. And what's the difference? I thought it was the CPAs were exempt, but not the accountants, like a bookkeeper.
Well, there wouldn't be an accountant. A CPA is an accountant, correct? So that would fall under that. That would fall under that. However, again, I just wanted to take this with a grain of salt, because it depends on the individual circumstance, and that's why I said I mentioned the Borello, So all of these conditions apply. And what this looks like to me, I have to be honest with you, if you have ever seen the IRS checklist for a definition of a 1099, have you ever seen that? If you haven't seen it, they have it on their website. okay? This Borello looks to me a lot like that list added with the ABC test. It's like a marriage of. Okay,
So how is this applicable to Uber drivers?
how?
Yeah.
Because they're being directed. They are being directed, that's why.
They're being
And they're-
directed by the rider though, not by Uber.
No, they're
Yeah, they
directed
are.
by Uber. An Uber
They
driver
are.
cannot on his own come pick me up, he has to go through his app.
Yes, he's being directed. So his
He's an
their
employee.
their schedule is managed by the company.
Yeah, but because they can choose when to turn on or not the app. That's why they are like getting with maybe now because they can choose if they want to work or not. It's not like they want to schedule.
Right, I understand that, but they have an app that tells them where and when to go. So that is direction.
And it's also their core business.
Yes, and it's delivering the services right to the core business. Because let's face it, Uber and Lyft are not in business to sell an app. That is not what they do. And the other thing is they manage all the money
They're drivers.
for the drivers. Okay, so that clearly is within the premise of this law. Time to move on? Okay, let me see what time it is.
There's one more part of AB 5 that one of my clients was falling into, and it's the definition of a fine artist. That
Oh.
they were on one of the exemption lists, and we were trying to define what is a fine artist.
Yeah,
If it was a dancer, a painter, or a
Yes.
musician.
yes.
Do you happen to, are you gonna be going over that, or do you happen to just
No.
know what the definition is?
Well, the definition of fine artist is anyone who is bringing the arts. You know, they have a creative talent that they're sharing through the arts. And so the arts is however you define that. So dance, music, theater, painting,
If he was a
sculpting.
music school, he taught people.
Yeah,
So that, okay, so for that benefit, he would fall under it, so he might be exempt
exempt from,
from,
no, he's not. He would be an employee.
I think the fine artist was exempt. It was-
Doesn't matter, it has to it has to match this. So even if they're exempt, even if they're on the exempt list, the Borello,
Has to come into play.
yes,
Okay, gotcha.
So if you had a fine artist, coming in to do a presentation or something in a nursery school or something, then that's an independent
exactly. That's exactly right. But when they're teaching,
when they're teaching.
that's a different matter because they're delivering services on behalf of another organization to their customer, and their customer is their students. Now you know why this is such a big deal here in California.
It is a hotbed.
It's gotta go away.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm just going to tell you that it's not. It will not go away in its entirety.
And the whole thing is they want their employee taxes, they want the payroll taxes.
But everybody's
Yes,
going
but there's a-
because of it.
Okay, so people that are in business are supposed to be paying employment taxes anyway, right? But the smaller businesses, many of them, they just like skip out on it. So that is a factor, definitely. But the other factor is, think about it. If you have, and I know this because I happen to know someone that's doing a shadow business, okay? Everything he does is under the table. He hires undocumented workers to do roofing repairs. He has no workers' comp. He has his customers pay him under the table cash. So he's not paying any taxes. If anything happens to one of those workers, who's going to pay for that? What if one of them fall through a roof? Right? So this is,
The other thing is, you get an independent contractor, and you're making sure you've got that W-9, and you are issuing a 1099. The government is knowing that they made that money. They have to claim it. If they're not gonna wanna claim it, then the business can't take it as a business expense. But they're still paying their federal and state taxes based on that income. But what they're missing out on then, I guess, is all this SDI and everything else.
yes, and
that's what they're trying to get,
well, that and workers' comp.
workers' comp.
Workers' comp, and here's the other thing, if somebody, for example, and I've seen this happen on one of my bigger clients, they had a consultant come in, they were clearly a 1099, no problem, right? The client had terminated the contract with his 1099 contractor consultant. He immediately goes and files for unemployment.
I've had that, yes.
Immediately,
I love it.
right? So, and then, of course, you know, the client, and I saw the letter from the EDD saying, you have this unemployment claim from this guy. And of course, there's no taxes withheld, there's nothing. And so, you know, I had to be on top of that and manage that as their HR. But can you imagine? And so that puts everything in the question. It's like, throw it up in the air and see where it's going to land. So fortunately, the consultant says, oh, it was a mistake. All right, okay, if you say so, it was a mistake. But, you know, is anyone paying attention? So it's really important that when you get those EDD letters, make sure you're reading them. Because you could be in a world of hurt and liability if you don't. So that's just free advice, yes.
Yeah, well, my company got it with, an ED comes in, you've got 10 days to respond for unemployment, otherwise they automatically get it. Even if you terminate somebody, whatever the cause,
It's
you don't
10 days
respond
from the
within 10
date of
days.
the letter.
Yes.
And the implication of that is your
So you got 2
rates go
days by
up,
the time you get it.
and it will affect your bottom line.
Oh, yeah, and as you pointed out, it's not 10 days from when you receive the letter, it's 10 days from the date that's on the letter,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay? So you might have like 3 days left to respond. And you can always call, by the way.
I've gotten letters like that from my clients on the day, I'm in the office the day it comes in the mail, and it's already 3 days late.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
This is actually one thing, so I've had a case where someone did go work on their own, but when they didn't have enough work as their own sole owner,
Yeah.
they went and tried to draw unemployment. Can they do that?
No, I don't, say that,
Even on a past employer?
a past employer, but they would have to be within the last 12 months.
Yeah, the look
Of
back.
working with that last employer?
Yes.
I had that come out, I thought.
Yes,
do
you
that.
can, yes, they
But
can.
they can if it's with a past employer within a certain period of time?
Yes,
Even though they're trying to work on their own now?
yes, yes, they can. Because that money has already been paid
It's already
into
paid,
it.
that's what I'm
Yes,
thinking, okay.
yeah. Because they keep they keep an account, right?
Yeah.
You pay into that with your taxes.